We are finally at the end. This was the last call with Jorrun, a few hours after his interview with Mini Syllables. Jorrun rates his performance, the performance of Mini Syllables, and makes plans for his future. Will he be making a comeback? Once again, Westmost is a troll in this call. If that is not your thing, please skip this video. The date was July 7, 2020, the time was 4 p.m.
Hello?
Hey, how did it go?
Very good, considering. Very, very good, actually.
Well, that's good. Was anything new uncovered? Was she able to, shake anything loose that maybe you hadn't been fully transparent with before that's really going to assist people?
I don't think so. There were a few questions she asked me. It's like, wow, that's something I haven't thought about at all. But a lot of the questions, she said, why specifically did you comment the way you did on Molly's? And I was just like, there was actually a moment of, duh, why did I do that?
Mm-hmm.
But we went through, she was pretty thorough. She didn't ask me, would you take your channel down as that would help people. She did say, were you going to make more comments going forward? I said, I've been concentrating the last few days just on the apology video and this interview.
Mm-hmm.
I said, I've given no real thought to that. But she did not shy away from going deep, and I did not shy away either.
Okay.
The whole thing was actually done in only about an hour 15 tops.
Oh, she's good.
She's very good, and I didn't, well, allow me a small joke here, Wes. I did not blame things on Amanda James and mac and cheese.
Oh, well, that's always good. There was no Amanda James mac. How about meatballs?
No delicious meatballs.
There's enough meatballs in that Google Drive, right? That was a little joke. So, how would you, if you had to rate her, 1 to 10, what would you give her?
Her skills?
Yeah, as far as the interview, what would you give her skills?
Ooh, I'll say an 8 or 9. Probably a 9 would be more accurate. She was very good.
What would have made her a 10?
Ooh, probably rather minute stuff. Like she lost her place a couple times. Once I asked her to repeat a question and stuff. But yeah, she's really good. She stuck with me as far as being impartial. I never felt as though she had an agenda. At the same time, she was direct, but not overly pressuring when it came to the difficult questions.
That's good.
And a couple times I'm like, okay, that question was long. Please cut it into 2 questions or rephrase it. And she did that.
So a strong 9.
It was fun as the... Yeah.
Oh, no, go ahead. What were you saying?
It would be absolutely incorrect to refer to it as fun, but I think if she interviewed me on a completely different subject, it'd be enjoyable for me.
Did you apologize?
Got real skills.
Apologize to her personally?
Yes, I did. Before and during.
That's good. How would you rate yourself during the interview?
At least an 8.
Okay, so I'll ask you, what would have made you a 10?
I'm probably, the only thing is more preparation as far as, because I really did not think a lot about a variety of questions so that I could have in my mind. I realized there were some things semi-philosophically, I happened maybe 3 times, but where I'm like, wow, I haven't considered this specific thing, like the Molly thing, at all. That's a damn good question. But
now that she asked you that, so I know so you're saying you'd rate yourself about an 8, and she was a 9. So that's good. That's a 17 out of 20 overall. That's a more than passing grade. But now that you've had a chance to look back, are there any apologies that you made to maybe Tiffany Lockhart, Molly? I don't know who else you did apologize to, or were there any of those that you would redo, or would those still stand as is?
They would stand. Oh, one thing she said that was fucking brilliant. She says, how about the people who defended you as far as helping take the video down and stuff? Do you want to let people know that they absolutely were not in collusion? I says they acted completely out of ignorance of the situation, and I apologize to them specifically, the people who I know
Who was
had
that?
the video reported. Danny G, TCAP Recipes. I may have forgotten Euro. Rhoda, I think.
Oh, what
So
role has has Euro? Because I know he seems to be pretty. I know you haven't been reading comments or anything, but it's good that you did mention those people, because that was going to be one of the things I didn't want to bring up prior to the interview. But those are the people who were probably feeling the most hurt in all this. Having comments made about you. I mean, the things said about Molly was horrible, and that's what that's going to do, is make less people willing to show themselves on cam, and less people are going to shrink back, because no one wants to be judged like that or treated like that. But the people who defended you, who in streams were defending you and talking about this troll, and then they felt like they were missed on the apology. So it's good that you did that was brought up to you. And why do you think maybe you forgot that and you left them out originally?
I was so concentrated on people that I had hurt as far as objectifying them and stuff, that I didn't even say, hey, wait a minute. People took down that video that should have been taken down.
Mm-hmm.
Because they thought, as I originally thought, that it was just the troll part 2. And I clarified in the interview that there were definitely more than one person. I said I used the term whistleblower. I don't know if I used it consistently, but I did.
Mm-hmm.
And that there was someone at an earlier time, because it had been going on for a while, where they would go into live streams, impersonate me, insult me.
Okay. Did you open or close with a joke like we had talked about?
I did not.
Oh, did you change your mind?
I mentioned that to her, and she thought it would be a bad idea, that people would think that I was taking things lightly.
Oh, okay.
Not being serious.
Okay.
And I tended to agree.
Well, I know when we first spoke on Friday, your idea was to do an apology with some jokes. So I didn't know if maybe adding some a bit of lightheartedness to it would have helped you in the process. But she thought it would be a bad idea, and you went with it. So that's how do you feel about that now? Do you wish you would have done that joke, or?
No, I think she was right.
Okay.
I didn't want any way people to think, oh, there he is, a joke, not taking it serious, because quite a few people would feel like that. So.
Okay. Now I know you said earlier that your apology video. Hold on, Alexa, off. You said that your apology video, you would have rated it that a 9.
Yeah.
And I know you haven't looked at any of the comments or anything like that. But now that you've had your talk with Mini Syllables, what would you rate that apology now?
I would say, if not a 9, an 8, and 8 only as far as I should have, as she brought up in my thing, apologize to the people who were helping me get the video removed.
Mm-hmm. Because what I think is because it was brought up, are some people going to think, oh, it was just a self-serving apology to save face. He wasn't really apologizing, or he would have mentioned those people who.
Yeah.
As far as I knew, you and Chef are friends, and we're making plans to hang out and stuff like that. So some people are going to say, oh, you would think that would be the first people that he would, among the first people he wanted to apologize to. So if he didn't do that, it's because he was just looking to save his reputation. And what would your reply kind of be to that?
I would say what I just did to you, which was I absolutely did not think about how they were being mistreated. And not only that, that people would look at them, with a Don't give them a sideways look.
I don't think anyone is. That's the thing. I don't actually think
Good.
anyone is. I think it was just a concern with of theirs. They felt bad. So what would have made your so your apologies an 8 now, back from a 9 to 8. What would have made that a 10?
I honestly don't know. I'm one of those people where pretty much I never give anything the perfect score because I'm like, perfection doesn't exist.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly, with the rewrites that you helped me with and stuff with that last one, I'm like, okay, I have mentioned everything I can think of. I've been direct, and especially with that last line you gave me, I'm like, okay, this is not some guy trying to, sweep over things or minimize. This is boom.
Direct, yeah, no ambiguity. So, because that wasn't really an answer. What would have made it a 10 in your opinion? For yourself and for others, you can't think of anything. So then, how can you give it an 8 if you don't know what a 10 is?
Okay. In that case,
it's like, how can you describe dark if you can't describe light? You know what I mean?
I honestly don't know. Maybe I should say a 9, and then what would have been the 10 would have been
mentioning those
apologizing to the people who had, that would have got it right where it should be.
Now that the mini syllable stuff is done, and I mean you got that in the can, you got your apology thing done. What's your next step as far as your channel? When do you feel like you'll be able to start making some content again?
I do not know. I have one video that I had planned to go. I have to make a decision if I even want to have a channel or if people want me to have a channel. By want, I mean, would support me.
Well, what do you want?
I don't know, Wes. I mean, I've loved it in the past. It's been a great artistic release for me, but it just seems so tainted now. Something I didn't mention to you, it's not a big secret or anything, but I took down my Patreon because I'm like, I don't even want people to give me money right now.
Mm-hmm.
And so I said, let me at least take that down. And by that I mean, people being able to donate money to me.
No, yeah, I understand that. But what is it that you would want? When would you want, if it was up to you, when would you want to release this? What kind of video is it?
It's a original comedy song.
Oh, okay. When would you want to be able to release that if it were up to you?
That's something I have not thought about.
Yeah, you have. I know you have. Let's be honest.
Not real.
Sure.
What should I say, a week, a month? I mean...
you say the truth, but I know you've thought about it. You can't tell me you haven't.
Well, I would have deleted it if I didn't think about it at all.
Okay, but you just told me that you hadn't thought about it, so let's remain honest here.
Well, okay. Well, when I say thought about it, I mean I haven't thought of, it's going to be Wednesday, boom. I have not put...
But that's not what I'm asking. I'm saying if it was up to you, when would that video be posted?
I guess in a week, if I still decide to have a channel.
What is there something making you decide that maybe you want to get rid of it? Because the apology said, your content going forward. So it was pretty much saying that this channel would remain and you would continue making content. So has that changed since yesterday?
That is the line I almost removed. That was the line I almost removed as far as going forward, because I have been, and I still am, do I even want to continue going with this channel?
Mm-hmm.
And the most honest and direct way I can say is I don't know. My mindset has certainly been on everything else is the priority. And I do love making comment. That too. I do love making content, and it's been great. I had, 3 months of pumping out a lot, and I love the creative process, and I love making people laugh. That hasn't gone away.
Yeah.
I feel everything is really tainted now. Plus the question of, I haven't checked. For all I know, I've had 100 unsubscribes. That's...
No, it's nothing that drastic at this point. So when these types of things happen, you've seen it with my own. videos that a lot of people start coming forward. And with your history of that screen name, there are going to be a lot of people coming forward. Is there anything, and I'm asking you now directly, and I'm not saying who has or has not come forward or been contacted, but was there anything, is anyone from your comedy troupe going to say anything that, yeah, they saw this before, or there were signs of this, or anything like that?
As far as
Inappropriateness or...
Gotcha. No, the only person who, let me just run through my thoughts. The only person who knows my channel exists is the original guy who I actually want to have on the channel.
First, now I'm not talking about anyone being aware of your channel. I'm talking about there's things that have been posted, and I guess there was a background in massage, which I didn't know anything. Of course, I don't care about any of that. But this is what happens. People start deep diving, and I'm saying if anyone is contacted from Funny Please, is there anything that any of them would say, like, oh yeah, I saw this coming, or something like that happened with females within the troupe, or is there anything like that? Never?
No, I did very briefly date one of the women.
Okay.
So she knows about my proclivities. There absolutely was one who was a member of the troupe for about a year.
Proclivities regarding
months after I left.
The genie stuff, or the children stuff, or just the genie stuff?
Just the genie stuff.
Okay. And then again, like I said, I can't say who has or has not reached out yet, or who will or will reach out tomorrow. Have you contacted high school girls at any time?
No.
Never ever.
Never. I'm sorry. You know what I was going to say.
No, go ahead. Do it. Do it. Yeah. Drop the.
Never ever.
Okay. So never once have you. No one's going to come forward with any receipts proving otherwise.
Correct.
Okay. And then just to be clear, because I want to be clear, when you say that you were looking at high school girls and pleasuring yourself, what age were these high school girls? And I want honesty, not honesty tomorrow. Let's get honesty today.
Yes. 17, 18, absolutely.
And you're sure of that?
I would, to cover myself, I'll say as low as 16.
You're sure of that?
Yes.
How could you be sure of that?
With my memory, and as long as I've done, I cannot be absolute, but there is a part of me that very much looks at younger girls and shudders.
Shudders in what way?
In the thought of being sexual, speaking sexual. I have a little bit of I was never a father, so I'm not going to pretend I know how, but there's a little bit of the protectiveness within me.
I know I asked you the question the other day about, looking back and how your behavior was, and a lot of the things on your channel being about being an alpha. Now, in the clear light of day, are you an alpha? Is that who you are?
Alpha at all. I have not behaved alpha at all. The most alpha thing I've done in the past couple of days is call that doctor and say I need help.
No, well, I'll agree. Admitting that you need help is a really big first step, but then of course believing it yourself and following through is the most important. And I think that's
why I like your idea of a follow-up video.
Yeah, I think people want to see that, especially if you plan on keeping your channel and releasing those things. If you want people to support you, show them that you're not like everyone else, and that you are taking this seriously and actually moving forward with it. Because when you're talking about looking at high school girls as young as 16, I mean, it's impossible to tell. Impossible to tell. I'm sure there were some 14 and 15-year-olds mixed in there, and whether you want to admit it or not, I think we both know that, right?
It is impossible to tell sometimes.
Jorrun,
I agree with you.
Could you admit that they were as young as 14 or 15? Because if you can't admit it to yourself, how are you going to admit it to a counselor? How are you going to admit it to anyone? if you can't admit it to yourself?
I intend to say every single thought I've had when I'm there with a counselor. I intend to hold back nothing.
But I'm asking you right now, can you admit that they were probably as young as 14 and 15?
It's possible, yes.
Okay. And was that also on Instagram when you were searching for the genie stuff, or?
No.
Where was
I don't know if you even necessarily want to hear this. I am not attracted to petite women. I tend to like bigger butts, bigger breasts. I've almost never dated someone who would be called petite. And
Well, that's weird because Molly's tiny, and you had no problem sexualizing her in her comments. I mean, she's petite.
she's in great shape. Absolutely. I was looking at those yoga pants in the wrong way.
Yeah, and I mean, there's a lot of, I think a lot of the women that you were sexualizing, would be considered attractive women by all.
Okay.
So no, so I'm just saying that doesn't really match up with what you're saying. So because my question wasn't on Instagram that you were seeing these girls that you were sexualizing, and you said no, and then you said I like bigger women. What does that have to do with Instagram or where you were finding them?
I mean, in general, what I've been attracted to is women with more thick figures, fuller figures, especially a lot of the belly dancers that have been following for years and sexualizing.
They're not on Instagram?
Bigger breasts. They are.
Okay, Jorrun, where were you finding the high school girls and whatnot that you were pleasuring yourself to? I mean, was it Instagram? Where was it that you were finding these? That's what I'm trying to figure out. And you're telling me that you like bigger women. They're two different. This is an answer to a question I didn't ask.
I see. Yeah. In the past, it has been Instagram.
Okay. I mean, so that's definitely something that you're going to want to avoid and, talk with the therapist or whoever. So I know you did speak in the earlier versions of the apology letter about wanting to help the others if possible. And if there was something that you could say to someone who was going through this, because I'm personally glad you left that out of the apology. I think it would have been really disingenuous then, but now, again, in the clear light of day, if you had a message to someone who maybe was thinking about leaving these types of comments or doing these types of things, what would that message be?
Get professional help.
When?
Immediately.
Okay. Yeah,
Don't wait. Don't wait for something bad to happen. Don't wait for you to get too quote-unquote tempted or what have you.
Yeah. It's never the time to ask, right? One of the comments because there were a couple of live streams, it was crazy, like 1:30 in the morning, a live stream with 60 people, talking about this. Mm-hmm. And I'll be honest, Chris Hansen has reached out to me about this, and I don't even know how he found out about it. And I don't know if it's just to fishing for information or to find out what's going on, but he has reached out, and that's a pretty big deal. But one of the things that was said over and over by, I'll say Danny G, was he should have apologized the minute he found out about this. Friday night.
I agree.
Do you think that apology would have been genuine, though?
Friday night?
Mm-hmm.
Not nearly as genuine as it was yesterday.
Yeah.
Because I was still in denial, still worried much more about not embarrassing myself, worried much, and that's what I say in Mini Syllables. She's like, how? I was, when this first happened, all I cared about was my reputation and, damage control, rather than doing the right thing.
Rather than getting ahead of it, putting it all out there so that no one else can tell your story for you.
Yeah.
That's what that's what the police.
The fact that told me.
That's what the police do when they sit those people down for the interrogation, they go, I don't think you're a bad guy. Tell me your story so that I don't have to tell it for you. In that case, you get a lawyer, right? You don't talk to them. But in your case, you wanted to tell your story before someone else did, because then they just fill in the blanks. And then they try and figure out what you're not saying with receipts. And they start contacting people to verify things that you said. And it's just a lot. But because that's really what I want to do. The apology came out yesterday. You had the interview with Minnie. What is your overall takeaway, like, just to kind of close things out? Because I believe that now it's time for you to start whatever work it is that you have to do to improve, and not focus on this all day. And so, what would be your final takeaway of all of it?
When you say takeaway, as far as what I've learned, or as far as
however you take that, whether it's what you learned, whatever it is.
My main concern by far is getting the help as soon as possible. I think I told you, but in case I didn't, he contacted me, sent me the forms. It's all been signed. It's already been emailed, so I'm just waiting for him. That is my main concern. Right now, between you and me, I feel asexual. I don't even want to flirt with anyone. I want to put my energies into anything and everything else. I've been deleting friends from my Facebook that I know looking at them will turn it on. I've been deleting people I follow on Instagram. I don't even want to masturbate. Shit.
Well, that's good to know.
Yeah, it's the best way I can put it.
That's really, kind of what I wanted to get to the bottom of, and just kind of check in and see how you were feeling with everything that was done, and making sure that once that apology was out there, I think at some point you should look at the comments and start processing those, because that's going to be a part of this. Gauge how the community is feeling about this. I mean, when you have people who haven't done streams in months, or haven't, when's the last time Wine Lover did a stream? And those people are talking about it. That's attention that you wanted, but not the attention that you wanted at the same time.
Yeah, I agree. Definitely.
So I highly suggest you go and look at those and start processing those whenever you're ready. I gotta get out of here. I have to take my kid to the shooting range. But do you have a joke or a quote or anything that is helping you through this, or? Because I feel like you're probably the kind of person who likes to liven things up with comedy and make dark situations within your life, a little gallows humor.
Yeah, definitely. I should be sent to an island.
I should be sent to an island. What would that island be called?
Incarceration Island, as Chef would say.
I think that's your next song right there. All right, man. Well, I'll be around, and if you want to reach out on Skype, I'm there. But like I said, like I made clear from that first message, it's impossible to promote in that type of thing with what's gone on. But I am pulling for you to get better in all this, and really stick with it and make it a priority to change, because this isn't who anyone wants to be or what anyone wants to be known for.
Hell no.
So no one wants to be a cautionary tale.
Fuck yeah. Wes, I don't know why you've given me so much of your time and support.
That's what I do. This is what I do.
Well, you know what? I will tell you something moderately funny. I had ideas for sketches, and a couple of them where I called you. I was going to do one sketch where I ran out of ideas, and I called various members of the community who are bigger than me and do stuff. And I was going to do one where I call you, and you're such an over-the-top goody two-shoes that you're like, oh, I have time before I go to the soup kitchen. How can I help you? Blah, blah, blah.
That's me. Yeah,
and,
totally me. That's me to perfection. Well, yeah, you should. I mean, keep storyboarding those ideas. Who knows when Jorrun Comedy makes his comeback, right? Now, who doesn't love a comeback story?
Sure. You're a saint, Mr. Mouse.
That's what they call me. As Brittany Simon said, I'm a little angel. So
there you go.
Little angel.
She knows what she's talking about.
She does. She absolutely knows what she's talking about. All right, so do what you need to do and look at that video when you can. And any questions pop up, you just contact me on Skype.
Thanks so much, bro.
All right. Bye.
Bye-bye.